I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Psalms 23:7. But Psalms 37:13 says, but the Lord, as we call him Yahweh, laughs at the wicked, for he sees that his day is coming. Hello, Facebook family and friends. It's me, Crystal. It's been a while since I've been on here, so bear with me as I recuperate spiritually. But I know it's time to put another video up. It's been time, because we are in some times that some people may not understand. And it's people such as myself that are here to help you all understand what's going on and why it's going on. We already know about COVID and the vaccines and the agenda behind it. And I will be discussing that in this video as well. I'm not going to be with you long. As you all know, I do my whole presentation and I break it up in parts and segments. But I want y'all to understand that this is a time of evil. It's not going to get better. It will get worse. And we need to get ready to prepare for the end times. Understand it's coming to the point that with this COVID shot and these COVID-19s and these vaccinations and these extra variants or whatever they want to call it, it's not going nowhere. It's not going nowhere. And like I said, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. We're in the wicked world and we are pretty much in the end times, and we got to get ready to prepare for that. A lot of people think that a rapture is going to take place before things get out of control. If that was the case, right about now, Facebook family, Facebook friends, even YouTube watchers, a lot of his elect people wouldn't be here. They would be caught up in the so-called rapture, which we will discuss one day in another presentation. But the things that are taking place is the beginning of trials and tribulations. We are in the beginning of sorrows. We are in the contraction and birth pains of the trials and tribulations of this world. And it's getting to the point where they're going to use this vaccine against us. They're doing it now, and a lot of people don't realize it. I mean, it's going to even come to the point to where the incentives they've put out, which at one time was if you get your vaccine, you can get this. If you get your vaccine, you can get free this. You can get free college tuition. You can get free tickets to and fro. You can get on the airfare and have discount, etc. They made it out of a voluntary decision, which it still is to the point and to a certain extent a voluntary decision. But they're slowly, y'all, mandating it to where you're gonna have to get that vaccine or else. I mean, it's gonna come to the point to where they're gonna put it to where your child has to be vaccinated, and if your child isn't vaccinated, they're not gonna be able to go to school. And then you know what happened to parents such as myself? If their child don't go to school because you choose for them not to get vaccinated, you know what that does to parents when their child is not in school. It incarcerates them or it penalizes them. That's how bad it's gonna get, y'all. It's even gonna come to a point in time that me and my co-worker, who also know about the end times, except for he calls it doomsday, it's gonna get to a point in time there's gonna be a shortage or a collapse in our electricity or in our internet connection. So don't be surprised. They call it EMP, if I'm not mistaken. It's gonna come to that time, y'all. You better take heed. Now, I want to show y'all something. Check this out. My co-worker, the one that called everything doomsday, sent this to me. Don't you realize that they're trying to make it to the point that a child, even young as 5 years old, if their parent refuses to give them the vaccine shot, that they will send these children to concentration camps? I want y'all to take a minute and read that on your own. Pause the video if you have to. I'm not going to read it in all. But it's just basically saying that we will be penalized if we choose not to be vaccinated. It will put us in a concentration camp or whatever they plan on doing with us if we choose not to be vaccinated. But probably arrest us, because they look at us as non-law abiding citizens. And they say it's the unvaccinated that's causing the vaccine, causing COVID to continue. I don't believe that. It ain't us. A lot of us that's not vaccinated are still healthy to this day, and I'm one of them. I'm not vaccinated, but I'm still healthy. And I thank my Father, y'all up above, for that. None of my family, none of my close family members, we all are still healthy when it comes down to this COVID vaccine shot. And I thank him for that. I thank him for that as much as I can. But they try to make it seem like it's people and others that are not vaccinated that's causing us to continue, and that we are considered non-law abiding citizens. So now, like I said, at one time they were making it voluntary. They were coming with these friendly incentives for people to, if you get vaccinated, you can win the lottery. If you get vaccinated, you will be drawn into the $1 billion. You know, they was coming with these little voluntary incentives. Now they're slowly pushing it to where they're trying to mandate it and detain you, and if your children don't go, if your children are not vaccinated and you choose for them not to be vaccinated, they can put them in concentration camps. It's getting serious, y'all. But it's also not meant for us to have fear. Because did he not say in Psalms 23:4, we shall fear no evil, for he is with us. His rod and his staff comfort us. It's just all about your faith and your relationship with him. And it's all about the agenda. It's all about, which we will be talking soon as well, it's all about falling for this new world order system. How many of y'all are going to fall for the system? How many of y'all are going to fall for these agendas, these manipulative agendas that they're putting out there, and they're using the COVID vaccine as one of them? A lot of people are so blinded that they don't even see that this is part of their way of testing us as guinea pigs to see who's going to fall for their agenda. And for those, such as myself, that would not fall for the agenda because we know what it's about, they call us non-law abiding citizens. Yeah. So what I want y'all to do is, I want y'all to take a look at these verses. And the main verse we're going to look at is definitely coming out of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Now, if you notice, I got Jeremiah chapter 30, Joel chapters 2 through 3, Zephaniah chapters 1 through 2, Zechariah chapter 14, Matthew chapter 24, verses 21 through 31, and mostly all of Revelation beginning at chapter 6 and working itself through 19. All these chapters correlate with 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. All of it is describing the end times. It's describing, as the people call it, the day of the Lord. It's describing the trials and the tribulations. It's describing it all. And it all correlates with 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Like I said, you got to read and study that to understand it in detail, and to get understanding of how all these chapters correlate with one another. I don't have that time to break each and every one of those chapters down, but I can tell you they're dealing with trials and tribulations. They're dealing with the great tribulations. They're dealing with the great day of the Lord, which you have to understand what that means. And it's dealing with all the things that we're going through that's spoken of in Revelation chapter 6 through 19. Now, give me a second here. As y'all know, I do record live, so it might be some shaking going on. We're going to look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And I want y'all to understand what this is about. Now, it says in First Thessalonians chapter 5, it says, "Now, concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon the pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren," the ones he's talking about, elect and chosen, "are not in darkness, so that this day," which is talking about the day of the Lord, "should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as a helmet the hope of salvation." 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Now, y'all got to understand what he means when he says sudden destruction. You got to understand what he means when he says we are not in the darkness, but we are the sons of the day and light. You got to understand what he means when he says you should not sleep as others do, but watch and be sober. And understand that you should not be drunk like the others are and sleeping at night. You have to understand what that means and how that correlates with what we're about to talk about. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting on my light, and I'm going to show you all out my Bible here what he's talking about. Now, keep in mind, like I said, there will be a little trembling and shaking during my recording because I am recording live. Some stuff I can fix during my recording, and some stuff I can't. Now, when you look at verse 5, we're going to start at verse 4. He says, "But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief." All right? You got to understand what he means when he says darkness. And as you notice, darkness is underlined with a little italics number at the top. That's letting you know that darkness has a great meaning and emphasis to this particular verse coming out of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 4. So what I have to do is go to the back of my book and understand what does darkness mean particularly for this particular verse. So it lets me know to go to the New Testament of the Hebrew Dictionary and look for number 4655. So that's what I'm doing. Now that I've found 4655, as you can see, it's skotos. And of course it means shadiness or obscurity or darkness. Now, when you read it a little more, all right, and as you read it, the main understanding of this particular verse that we're talking about is speaking on moral darkness, the absence of spiritual light and truth, including the idea of sinfulness and consequent calamity. So when Paul was speaking about darkness, he was talking about your spirit being dark, being dead. It's in moral darkness. It has no spiritual ethics about it. It has no spiritual moralness about it. It's completely dead. When you are living in darkness, you're living as a dead zombie spiritually. You're blinded. You're asleep. You're not woke to the truth. You're not woke to righteousness. And because of that, we already know that sin is death. So when you're walking in darkness and you're not woke, you're pretty much spiritually dead. So what is he saying in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 4? But you, brethren, are not spiritually dead. You're not morally in spiritual darkness. So that this day, which he's talking about, the great day of our Father, this day that when he comes back to get ready to rule, there's something else that'll be spoken of later on in another study. You should not be overtaken like a thief, meaning allowing that darkness and that sin to take you as a thief and be caught up in his wrath. That's what it's basically saying. You will not be caught up in his wrath if you accept salvation and repent and wake up and become spiritually enlightened to his truth. Okay? That's why he says in verse 5, you are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of the darkness, meaning we are awake. We are spiritually awakened by his righteousness and his truth. Why? Because you repented, you accept the salvation, and he is waking up your spirit to be alive and accept eternal salvation through him by walking through works and faith. Because you cannot have works and not have faith, and you cannot have faith and not work it out, meaning you have to walk his walk. You have to walk in righteousness. You can be saved, but if you're still not walking with his works, it's in vain. So that's why John was saying faith without works is dead. Alright. Now, with that being said, let's look at verse 6. It says, therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. Now, when you go back the 1 Thessalonians in the Bible, chapter 6, it says so right here. Therefore, let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. Now, watch in verse 6, as you can see, is emphasized, as well as other words here. But watch, I want y'all to pay attention to what watch means. All right, watch is emphasized in Hebrew and the New Testament for a particular meaning. So what I got to do is go, because this is the New Testament, I got to go to the Hebrew Bible Dictionary of the New Testament and go to number 1127. So that's what I'm about to do now. Now, hold on. When you look at 1127, all right, turn the light a little bit. When you look at 1127, it is called Gregoyu, all right, and it's telling you to keep awake, to watch, to be what? To be vigilant. Wait, be watchful. All right. As a matter of fact, it keeps going. It says here to arise or arouse, to wait, to keep awake, to watch. So what is he telling us? To be attentive. All right. So 25:18, to sleep is referred to death. And that's what we just spoke about. You don't want to be sleeping. You don't want to be in darkness. You want to stay awoke. Why? Because he tells us that you want to stay Gregorio, meaning you want to stay awake, meaning you want your spirit man to stay awake and be watchful and be vigilant, just like a soldier would when he's standing at the gate. What is he doing? He's staying watch, making sure that he's watching that gate and protecting his city from the enemy and from anybody who's coming to attack. It ain't no different than the spiritual warfare with the devil and his cohorts. Yahshua, the Son of Man, and Yahweh, as the world calls Lord, Father, God, they're telling us that we are to stay woke and be vigilant and stay spiritually awakened with his truth, and to keep feeding our spirit man, because we do not want to be caught as a thief coming in the night. We do not want to get caught up in this wrath of his that's coming. All right. So with that being said, he's telling us we shouldn't be drinking, meaning just being drunken in spirit from death and sin and carelessness. He's telling us we are supposed to stay sober And we are supposed to walk off in faith and love and keep that hope of salvation that's spoken of in verse 8, because he's telling us time is coming. My day is coming where I'm coming with wrath and vengeance. And if you do not want to be caught up in that wrath and vengeance, you better stay woke. You better wake up. And for those that are not woke and still asleep, spiritually dead, you better accept salvation and repent and wake up to my truth, because that darkness will hit you. And when that darkness hits you and my wrath come, it would overtake you as a thief in the night. But for those that are elect, for those that are chosen, for those that have accepted my salvation, you don't have to worry about that. That's what he's pretty much telling us. That's why a lot of people think there's a rapture, but it's not. There's not a rapture. But there is something that he explains to us about peace and safety when that time comes. And again, like I told y'all, that's something that's spoken of in a different study. Now, another thing I want y'all to pay attention to is this here. Now, he tells us in Romans chapter 13, 11 through 14. He says, and do this knowing the time that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, meaning spiritually wake up and come out of death and sin. For now our salvation is nearer than what we first believed, meaning in other words, time is getting nearer. When Paul wrote this, he was pretty much saying time is winding up. And for us now in our day and time and era, it's even more nearer than what it used to be back in his day and time. He says in verse 12, the night is far spent, the day is at hand. What day? The day of the Lord, as the people call it. The day of his great wrath and vengeance on his enemies is at hand. He's saying the night is far spent, meaning it's time for darkness to be shattered. It's time for his day of the Lord to come at hand. He says, therefore, let us cast off the works of darkness and let us put on the armor of light. Let us cast off that old sin and death and get ready to put on the light of salvation. Let us walk properly as in the day, not in revelry and drunkenness, meaning don't be sitting around getting caught up in drunkenness and sleep and partying and wantoning and promiscuity. He's telling us we don't want to get caught up in that when he get here. You don't want to get caught up in lewdness. You don't want to get caught in lust, strife, envy, any sin, anything that's not righteous. You do not want to get caught in that day. But verse 14 says, put on the Lord Jesus Christ or Yahushua HaMashiach and make no provision for the flesh to fulfill his lust. What is he saying right here? Make no provision for the flesh to fulfill his lust. What he's telling us is you do not want to allow your lust to get you caught up in sin and death. So when he gets here, you caught up in that school of sinful people. Now, he already said many are called, but few are chosen. Meaning, in other words, it's many of us that's been called. It's many of us that the Holy Spirit done knocked on our hearts to come to him. Some have accepted it and taken it, and some have heard it and ignored it. So many are called, but few are chosen. Now take that in and let that seep in your spirit. Now, when you look at the bottom here, it says, do you want to be like Matthew chapter 25, verse 36 through 39? Well, what do you mean by that, Crystal? Well, let's take a look at it. Matthew chapter 24, verse 36 through 39. Now check this out. He says, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Who's speaking? Jesus Christ, Yahushua HaMashiach. Jesus Christ is the one that's speaking to us. He's even letting y'all know, and myself as well, that he don't even know. The angels don't even know when the day of the Lord is going to hit, but only his Father. He said, but check this out in verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Well, what do you mean by that? What he's saying is that just like the days of Noah were when he was preparing the ark for the flood, for anybody who know the Bible or read the Bible. In Genesis, Noah was preparing the ark because he was chosen to prepare for the world to be destroyed by the flood. And you can only imagine, in the midst of him building the ark during dry land, you probably had people laughing at him, mocking at him, asking him, what is he doing? And in the midst of that, he was probably forewarning these people what he was doing and why he was doing it. And he was probably trying to tell people like me and everybody else to get yourself in order, because the world is coming to an end and it's going to be destroyed by a flood. Them people probably laughed at him, mocked at him, no different than these days and time. He said, for as in the days before the flood, they were doing what? They were eating, drinking, married, and giving into marriage. He's not telling people not to marry. What he's saying is that people continued on with their daily life, that they didn't take notice of the preparation of what Noah was doing. You had people still partying, having fun, falling into sin. Shoot, you even still had people getting married, because people was living their daily lives and not taking heed to what the preparation of what Noah was doing when he was building that ark. So as that went on, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. So what he was saying, and what he is saying, is that it's going to come a time, because we are in those days where people are still partying and ignoring the warning signs and ignoring the people that's trying to forewarn society that, hey, you better wake up, because it's here. His warnings are right here at the door. A lot of people ain't paying it no attention. And so just as Noah is preparing for the end times, you got his chosen preparing for the end times, and people looking at them like they're crazy. And then you got people that's forewarning them, no different than most likely what Noah did, but they still carrying on with their life until the day the flood hit and took them all away. And so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. It's going to come a time where he's going to crack open that sky, and it's going to be people that ain't even going to be prepared for it. They ain't going to be prepared. They are not going to be prepared. You're going to have those over here prepared, and you're going to have the other ones over there not prepared. That's how the coming of the Son of Man going to be. He's going to come like a thief in the night, just going to come out the blue. And he's coming unexpectedly. So you better be prepared. That's why he's telling us we have to stay on watch. We have to stay on watch. That's why he's telling us that we have to stay on watch, because we don't know when he's coming. But he's telling his people to stay on watch, and he's forewarning people to stay on watch through his signs of times and what we're going through now, and how things are getting worse and it's not getting better. He's pretty much telling us that, y'all. I mean, for those that's really paying attention. When you look at Mark chapter 13 and 32, like I was telling y'all, Joshua, as the world calls him, Jesus Christ, didn't even know of Father's time and coming. And it says so right here. Mark chapter 13 verse 32 says, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. See that? It says so right there. Mark 13 and 32. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Even Joshua, Jesus Christ, don't even know when Father's going to blow that trumpet. Don't nobody know but Father himself. But like he said in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 1 through 8, we need to be sober. We need to be ready, because of course we got these labor pains going on now like a pregnant woman. We're going through, this earth is going through a lot of pain, and society is going through trials and tribulations. We're going through it as a whole, but we also go through it as individual people, because everybody got their own tests and trials they got to go through. But society as a whole is going through these birth pains as well. Economy collapse, money, famine, droughts, earthquakes, climate control as they call it, COVID-19, pandemics, epidemics. All of this is labor pains, spiritual labor pains that the whole world is going through in the midst of you going through your own personal trials and tribulations. Do you understand? Yahshua, as the world calls him, Jesus, isn't playing. And when he comes back, the day of the Lord, it's not going to be peace. It's going to be world war. It's going to be wrath and vengeance. Trust and believe. Like I said, we'll be talking about that soon. So, because I'm telling y'all that we have to get ready to prepare for the end times, you got to know how to prepare and what to buy for these perilous times. So, as I was telling y'all earlier, I do have a co-worker that I work with, and he calls it doomsday. But this man is gifted. Very, very gifted. And I believe he came into my life at the right time. It's a season and a reason for everything. And I believe he came at the right time. Yahshua brought him amongst my path at the right time, because I have learned a lot from him. And years ago, probably a year or two ago, I was telling my family during Bible study, I know it's time to prepare for the end times. We got to prepare for the end times. We got to. But in my heart, it's like, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to prepare. So praying to Yahshua about help us to prepare, learn how to prepare for the end times, because he know my heart as well as my family heart. Here comes my co-worker out the blue. I started listening to him and realized that this man know what he's talking about. He calls it doomsday, but he's been preparing for 7 years plus. And I am so envious. I'm great, but I tell him in a minute, I'm jealous of you. You way ahead of the game. But he said he's been doing it for 7 years because he knew what was coming. And because he's an ex-military man, he already know the agenda. But he say sometimes it scares him himself to know so much. And I told him it's because that's a will that the Father has for you. You got to understand your gift and what he has for you to do. Because he wanted us how is it that he knows so much and learns so much. And I told him, hey, it's our Father up above. Everybody got a gift. You just got to know how to use it. And he uses his well. And he don't mind providing information that you need and helping you out when it come down to, as he call it, the doomsday. But of course, it is called preparing for the perilous times or the end times. So, of course, here are some very few little links that he shared with me. He was explaining to me how those times are coming to where we're going to have to get ready to understand there will be a cashless society and an economy collapse. The money is no longer like our cash dollar money has no value, and it's no longer going to be available really soon. So he was telling me how he has gone to certain websites and started purchasing silver and gold, because he said, believe it or not, during these times, doomsday's times, you're going to need stuff like this because it's going to be in value. He said, this is what has value. Silver, gold, and copper is what has value. And he told me, while it's at prices like this, it's good to start buying it. He showed me a case, and I mean cases of silver and gold that he has been stocking up through the years. And he was telling me why you're going to need it and how to use it during them end times. Because you're going to need it. Why? We're going to be in a cashless society soon. We're no longer going to be able to use dollar bills. The banks are going to be no good eventually. This sounds like a movie, but it's true. And for anybody who's watched movies that's relevant to end times and doomsday, government and the Illuminati system, and anybody who hear me speak on the Illuminati system, they already know that I have Illuminati, which I never finished that off. I still had more to go, but of course, I've stopped that for a while. The Illuminati is part of us. They know what's going on, and they're preparing too. And they're just trying to keep us blinded and distracted with other things, whether it's football games, COVID-19, reality shows, money, whatever they're doing, they're trying to keep us distracted from what's really going on behind the scenes. They know that it's going to be an economy collapse. They know that money is going to be of no value. And because of that, they've also placed movies for entertainment to have you thinking it's just a movie, when honestly, they're telling us things right on screen through Hollywood. Yeah. And if you look at some of my Illuminati studies, you will see that I've spoken on this several times, that they show us things in movies, but we don't pay it attention because they have us mind programmed into thinking it's just entertainment, when the whole time they're telling us and we're just being dumbfounded. We're not picking up the clues with some of these movies that they put out there. Do not think that these movies are just always entertainment. A lot of these movies have subliminal messages and forewarnings. But again, because they know that people are blinded and they have them mind programmed and they have society wrapped around their finger, they know that they can use these movies and have us thinking it's for entertainment, when the whole time they are telling us all along what's really going on and what's about to happen. So with that being said, yes, he was telling us it's good to start stocking up on stuff like this. He's been stocking on it for years. I mean, he showed me cases of what he has in stock when it comes down to silver and gold. Of course, gold is a little more than the silver. So whatever you can afford, piece by piece, go on and start buying it. Like I said, gold is a little high. At one time it was cheaper because he was telling me you need to get it while they got it at low value. But of course I didn't have the money at the time, and I still don't. But I'm deciding to share it with other people as well, for people who are interested in going on and trying to stock up while they can, and stock up on gold and silver, because gold and silver and copper will be coming back during those times, and it will be of the most value ever in history, because of the end times and the perilous times we're about to go facing. I will start slowly but surely, and I told my family as well that we need to start stocking up on stuff like this, because we will be coming into a cashless society. He was even explaining to me about copper and how that will soon come into value, and how it will be used. And eventually copper would take over and silver and gold would play out. But he said still buy it while it's available. He was even explaining how copper would be of value because it helps with electrical wire, and it helps with drinking glasses, like glasses we drink out of. It helps with that. He said it helps with electrical cars. He said that's why copper is so valuable, and it's a little more valuable than silver and gold. But at the same time, it's good to buy all three while you can. He was even explaining to buy survival kits and how you can purchase them on Amazon and Walmart, and I'll show you a very few little things. I don't have much, but I'll show you certain links you can go to and buying stuff and preparing for the end times and getting your supplies gathered. He was also definitely saying to start buying land and begin to learn how to garden. So because I'm a country girl, but I never knew how to garden. But he's saying to go on and buy land. He said he don't care if it's a piece of land. Just buy you some land, because it's going to come into value at these perilous doomsday times. Why are we needing to buy land? Because they are talking about stopping farmers from farming. Literally. And I found the website about that, and we'll speak about that soon. But he even said that they're going to stop farmers from farming. He said it's good to go on and start future stocking with 60% protein, which is meats, while you can, and at least 40% of grain, which is seeds or whatever you can. Which that will be discussed in future slides, why we need to go on and start stocking up on that. Not only do we need to start buying land on our own, but also Bill Gates is buying land. Why is Bill Gates, who used to be a philanthropist, who is the CEO of Microsoft, and also who has created vaccines for people who didn't know it, he was the one that helped create the COVID vaccines. Why is he all of a sudden a farmer too? Why? Why is Bill Gates, who went from being CEO of Microsoft to a philanthropist and creating vaccines, and now you're a farmer? That's because when you look right here, they, which is he, himself, and any part of the Illuminati system, are planning on storing and stealing for themselves as we speak. Whatever we have now, they taking. That's why shelves are empty. They're making it seem like we're in a famine, which we pretty much are, but they're already prepared. They've probably been preparing for decades because they know what's coming. And they know they got to survive. And because it's the top 1% billionaires in the world, they're already... I've already heard a lot of people say that a lot of these rich Illuminati people and celebs, they already got bunkers underground because they know what's coming. But people like us, the middle society and the minorities, they said, F us. Forget y'all. We got us. And we know what we gonna do to keep y'all blindsided while we stealing and taking from y'all and storing up and planning. We gonna keep y'all blindsided for a little bit. But again, Yahshua, as the world calls Jesus Christ, he got his elect out here for warning people to wake up. Quit sleeping. Quit dangling around. Wake up spiritually. For you get caught up in some mess in the end times and in the future that you don't want to get caught up in. Bill Gates and the crew are already preparing. And I want y'all to take heed to that. That's why it's good to pay attention to my Illuminati presentation, because you will understand the meaning of what I mean when I say they, the crew, Bill Gates, how he's part of the Illuminati system. You will understand that. You will understand it. But you have to understand, looking at the Illuminati, it wasn't just to be stupid about it. It was because I was putting it out, because the Illuminati is also part of the end times. They are also part of this NWO system, this New World Order system. They're part of Satan's Illuminati bloodline. And I want y'all to take heed that this crew are the ones that's got this COVID vaccine 19 going. This crew, along with the government, along with media, along with celebs and anybody else who have sold their souls over to Satan, know what's going on. And it's people like us that they hate and they despise, and they're willing to detain us and kill us if need be. Because it's people like us who are fighting against their system, and we're trying to put out forewarnings, such as Noah did, such as Jeremiah and Isaiah and Paul and all the other apostles tried to tell the truth and the gospel for other people to take heed. You got some that's going to take heed and wake up, and you got some that's just going to still sleep and slumber and stay drunk. But please, y'all, take heed to understanding that we need to prepare for the end times. We are in the beginning of the end times. That's spoken of in Matthew chapter 24. We are in the beginning of end times. If you read Matthew chapter 24, read it word by word, line by line, you will see that we are literally in the beginning of end times. That's why I say there is no rapture. If there was a rapture, his people that he have chosen would not be here during the beginning of the tribulation. If you read Matthew chapter 24, you will see that some of the stuff that he's speaking on, or majority of the stuff he's speaking on, is already taking place. All you have to do is just read for yourself. He says, study to show thyself approval. If you read yourself Matthew chapter 24, you will see that some of the things that he is talking in those verses are already happening. And it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And he tells you we are in the beginning of sorrows. And we are. So where is the rapture at? People who say, oh, we'll be out of here before the tribulation hit. Where's the rapture? We already in the beginning of the pains and sorrows. Where's the rapture? Where is it, y'all? Where is it? Before I end this slide, I want to show you a little bit of Matthew chapter 24. Just to show you what I'm talking about. Bear with me here. Matthew chapter 24. The disciples' 2 questions and the tribulation. Now I want you to see this now. He already tells us right here now. I'm going to kind of turn it so I can get it in the light. It says, and Yahshua answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Do we not already hear of wars and rumors of wars? See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. You see that in verse 6? But the end is not yet. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For what did he say? For nation will rise against nation. Ain't that what's going on with some of these nations? China against Russia, Russia against China, United States against this person against that nation. That's going on now. And kingdoms against kingdoms. And what did he say? And there will be famines, yep, pestilences, and earthquakes in what? Various places. Did we not have earthquakes hitting in various places and unknown places that you never thought earthquakes would hit? California, other little places, famines going on in certain places, pestilences. Even though we might not have a lot of that stuff go here over in the United States, stuff like this happen all over the world. Tornadoes, fires, unknown, never known that they would have snow going on in other crazy states that you never heard have snow. Fires going on, unknown fire, just out the blue. What did he say in verse 8? All these things are the beginning of sorrows. Did he not say that? And all I need for you to do is just read on and finish reading Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24 is letting us know now that the things that's going on now are going on already that he spoke of in Matthew chapter 24. He already told us in Matthew chapter 24 that these are just the beginning of sorrows. Take heed, these things will come to pass, but the end is not yet. Letting us know that it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. If you don't believe me, find your Bible. Open up your Bible and read Matthew chapter 24 yourself. And sit back and think about some of the stuff going on now. And what did he say in verse 8? These are the beginning of sorrows. These are the beginning of the birth pains of tribulation. So where is the rapture, y'all? Oh, let me show you this other part too. Now, as you see, it reads on about people being killed. Of course, this was also spoken of for the past, present, and future in verses 9 through maybe 12. It's the past, present, and future prophecy, because it was speaking on what was going to go on with the disciples back in their days and what was going to go on even after them and even up to this day. So you got to understand the Bible speaks past, present, and future, but guess what? It all correlates with one another. But what I want you to pay attention to right here as well, look at 13. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And what did verse 14 say? And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Let me read that again. But he who endures to the end shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Didn't he already telling us? Look at this. 24 and 13 says what? The ones who persevere are the same ones who are saved, not the ones whose love grows cold. This does not suggest that our perseverance secures our salvation. What he's saying is that you can be saved, but if you ain't strong enough, you can fall into apostasy, which is spoken of in, I think, Thessalonians or Timothy. It's spoken of in one of them about the great apostasy, where people's hearts are going to grow cold, they're going to get weak, people are going to start giving in, and what they believed in, they no longer going to believe in, and they're just going to fall weak to the system and to Satan and Antichrist. But he told us, for those that will endure to the end, you shall be saved, meaning you will be saved if you can endure to the end. And what did he say? That his gospel has to reach every four corners of the earth, and then the end will come. So anybody who believes that there's a rapture, shouldn't we be gone by now? He already said his gospel of the kingdom has to hit all four corners of the earth, and then the end will come. Now, if you all are real true believers, we already know that he's the same today and forever, and his words will not change. It's just the way that it's being preached and teached and taught. That's why I say I am no longer in religion. I am in spirit and truth, because he say he worships in spirit and truth. Yahshua has never been in religion. Religion teaches you that there's going to be a rapture and everybody's going to be raptured up before the tribulation. But truth speaks that you have to endure and go through this and you will be saved. Because you can get saved, but you can also fall weak and fall off into backsliding and apostasy if you ain't strong enough. And he also says that his gospel has to hit all four corners of the earth, and then the end will come. So again, where's the rapture? To be continued.